So I am our resident creative nonfiction writer, and in particular, I specialize in a literary form called the essay. Now, when initially we think of the essay, we probably think of what we wrote in high school, those labored, 5-body paragraph, thesis-driven arguments that are not very fun to write. On the contrary, the creative essay is, in short, a merging of truth and beauty. It's a creative way to tell a true story and make change. In particular, whoops, wrong way. This way. In particular, the essay is, in short, a mind on a page. That's from John D'Agata, a very famous contemporary nonfiction writer. Bernard Cooper also talks about the importance of finding a small aspect and magnifying it. In short, magnification of some small aspect of what it means to be human. He writes that in particular, we have to think of the small details that others aren't looking at, and using that as a way to talk about a larger issue, and in many ways seduce a reader. And so, you're going to laugh, but lately I've been thinking a lot about images, and in particular the way images can be used with text in a way to communicate a meaningful idea or sentiment. In particular, the idea of using images to convey something is nothing new. This is, in fact, our oldest image of a pig found in an Indonesian cave. It's 35,000 years old. Certainly, we can deduce what is trying to be communicated, right? Food. Images are also used to indicate celebrations, war, danger, etc. Fast forward to today, we also use images to convey meaningful, important ideas. They didn't quite transfer the same way. But these are emojis. How many of you use emojis? Very cool. So in particular, we have everything from dancers to ballerinas. But what I've been grappling with as of lately is the lack of strong female representation. In this room, there are no doubt women going into engineering, medicine, science, the humanities, meaningful places and professions. But if you look at our emoji vocabulary, you have instead this. Now, this doesn't typify my day, nor my existence, nor should it. Although I like the flamenco dancer and her confident hand. In particular, I was looking for the right emoji to send to a colleague of mine who was recently granted tenure here at Ohio Wesleyan University. An incredibly intelligent, driven woman, much loved by her students. And certainly, yes, there is a place for words in celebrating someone that you care about. But on the contrary, I wanted to send an image. And you might think, I think the first thing we might come to is that emojis don't matter, right? They're tiny, insignificant little images. We might even kind of be flippant about them and think that they mean nothing. On the contrary, however, 92% of smartphone users use emojis. Certainly the rate is much higher with millennials, younger generations. But when asked if emojis could be used to more meaningfully or accurately describe an emotion, an emotional response, 84% of young women said yes, 75% of young men said yes. Why does this matter? Creates an everyday narrative. When we are scrolling through our emoji set, looking at the poop or the cucumber or the giant eggplant or the ghost, among many others, we're also, again, getting that repetition that women are, in short, sort of just interested in being pampered, having their hair cut, doing their nails, that they're not engaging in intelligent, professional, hardworking areas. And this was troublesome to me. So often when I'm thinking about how to write an essay in a meaningful way, I try to adopt what Bernard Cooper talks about. And this is something I stress to my students. Finding the small moment, the emoji, as silly as it might seem, and using it to springboard and talk about a larger issue, like systematic sexism, like being told that we aren't intelligent or that we're not doing anything other than focusing on our aesthetics. So I wrote an essay. It was a relatively feisty essay. I had fun with it. But I was really angry because, again, I think this is a difficult narrative for young women to accept on a daily basis. I didn't especially think that it would go anywhere. Instead, I had an editor at the New York Times who absolutely loved it, published it in the Sunday paper, which was pretty neat in itself. But then a few weeks later, Google proposed 11 new emojis of women engaging in industry, and they cited my essay as the inspiration. In July, the Unicode Emoji Subcommittee, which indeed is a real thing, looked over a lot of the images, a lot of the proposals, and adapted all 11 of them, in addition to bacon, so we now have bacon soon, and they'll be rolling out in January of next year. tell you this? Well, for one, I think it's pretty cool, and I hope that you all send engineering women with abandon, farmers, pilots. But I also tell you this because it is, again, the idea of the essay at its core, finding the small moment that matters, the thing that no one else is thinking to look at, and using it as a way to seduce a reader and get them to care about something and make a meaningful change, however small, pixelated, and animated. Thank you.